Okay, all right. So today what we're going to do is day 2 of factoring polynomials. Now, I'm not trying to exaggerate, but if someone were to ask me, right, and I have to choose a lesson that's the most important lesson of this year, maybe even in middle school, all 3 years, it would be today. And then we're going to practice for 2 more days. So the next 3 days, you really have to pay attention and you have to try really, really hard because this is gonna define how well you're gonna do in high school math. Okay, because the techniques and the knowledge that you need to possess, it's that important. Okay, so with that said, let's take a look and let's go. Okay, all right. So here is where we are in our what how should I say, in our journey today. All right. So let's go back a day. All right, because I actually haven't recorded any videos in like a few days. So now look at that. Right. So here, remember now, even though this is not strictly the case, you probably noticed, right? All of these polynomials that we've been factoring yesterday are simply binomials. Now, it doesn't have to be binomials, all right? Because the method that we show can work with trinomials too, but I want to really make a very strong distinction between the two, between yesterday and today. So if you look at these 5, right, expressions, right, they're all binomials and we factor it using the greatest common factor. So today we're gonna actually go into something that looks like this. All right, so I don't know if you noticed right off the bat, right? These are all trinomials, and it's really only trinomials. Now, here's how we got to this point. Let me make sure I'm recording. All right, so here's how we got ourselves to this point, right? Because in the last unit, in unit 10, which is probably almost a month ago now, right? Let me do it on the side, right? We did FOIL, which means if I were to give you something like this, I don't know, something like that, right? You would multiply them, right? Using FOIL, first, outside, inside, last, and then at the end, you get yourself a trinomial, right? Not dissimilar to what I have here for today. But the difference between what happened a month ago and what's happening today is that I'm gonna give you the answer. The question is, can you give me back the question? In other words, I'm not asking you to multiply anymore. So think about it like this. So think about how far, your, I don't know, your road has come, right? Where, for example, in the 3rd grade, maybe, 2nd grade, maybe, you guys have to remember the multiplication table, right? And then later on, maybe 4th, 5th grade, right, when you guys start working with division, what you have to find out is, if I give you the number 6, can you give me back the factor? So now we're actually bordering even on 6th grade stuff, right? So you will list the factors out, right? And that's what this is, right? Here, we learned about how to multiply binomials to give you the final trinomial expression. Now we're doing the opposite, trying to get the question back. Okay, so the question would be something like, what times what, right? What times what would give you x squared plus 2x plus 3? Okay, think about it like that. Now, similarly speaking, it's actually not that bad. And the reason is because you guys know how to FOIL already. And that's the big thing. The fact that you guys know how to FOIL already means a lot, okay, in what you can or cannot do. So, for example, then, now remember, like when we first did this, remember the game we played, the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game, right? I actually did this with you guys, I think the day before, where I taught you guys how to do this in your head, right? So if you got x, it's always x squared. -2 plus 1 is -1, right? So -1x or -x. -2 times 1 is -2. And there you have it. It's the same answer, right? So in other words, right? Here, this middle term here comes from adding these two numbers. All right, I'm trying to coordinate in such a way that it's all right, right? Adding so that I could get this term in the middle and also multiplying these two to get this in the end. So the question then is something like this. Okay, all right, so now let me give you an example, right? So we'll use this question right here. I had to erase the first question because it was like the worst possible question I could possibly pick for today's lesson. I can't believe it. All right, okay. So now, for this one, right, I'll give you an example, right? So again, right, I know that if I do x times x, it'll give me x squared. Like that's just not gonna go anywhere, okay? So the next thing then is I need to look at the 6, right? Because like I said, it has to be the product, right? Because if you do FOIL, let me use a magic marker. If I do FOIL, remember last, right? The last is what gives you the 6 here, and we have to multiply, right? So the computer is really slow right now, by the way. So, right, remember that, right? The last two numbers, right, has to be multiplied. So similarly, it's this one right here that we're looking at here for the 6. So what's the what would give us 6? Now, there are several factors of 6, right? So 1 times 6, right? We could do, let's see, what else? We could do -1 times -6, right? But we could do 2 and 3, right? That would give us +6. And we could do -2 times -3. Now, also, the sign actually matters because we need the sign at the end. Because if you multiply these two like that at the end, it matters what the sign is. So now, if we got this list, right, let's see what the sums are. So 1 plus 6, that's 7. -1 plus -6 is -7. 2 plus 3 is 5. And -2 plus -3, it's a -5. So the question is something like this, okay? What pairing can you have? Which one of these 4 pairings can we have where if we put them in with these numbers, it'll give us back this expression, right? So in other words, what 2 numbers, all right, let me type it out. What 2 numbers, when you add them, gives you, no, when you multiply them, because we should do that first. When you multiply them, gives you +6, and when you add them, gives you -5. That's really the question, right? So, okay, let's do that. So let me use a red marker, easier to see maybe, I don't know. 1 times 6 is 6, right? -1 times -6 is +6 also. 2 times 3 is 6. -2 times -3 is 6. They all give you 6s. So that doesn't help. But here's where it's going to help. We're going to add them. Because when we add them, it has to match the number in the middle. So 1 plus 6 is 7. -1 plus -6 is -7. 2 plus 3 is 5. -2 plus -3 is -5. So which one of these gives you 6 and then -5? This one, right? The 6 and the -5. That means then we're going to put so we're going to pick these numbers, -2 and -3. Okay, now how do you know if you're right? Well, x times x is x squared, so we can FOIL it, right? X times x is x squared. Let's see, first, outside, so -3x. Inside, that's -2x. Last, +6, so that's x squared minus 5x plus 6. Okay, so that's how you do these sort of questions. Now, that took me 10 minutes to do, but I'm gonna have to edit some of these out. Okay, so that said, right? What about this one? Right, again, we're gonna set this up as x and x, right? So now, question then. Again, what 2 numbers? Now, you need to see that this is a -1, right? So you need a product of -6, and you need a sum of -1. So think about it. Think about all the factors of 6. Oh, by the way, so real quick detour. Why do we need to do this? Why do I tell you to do product first? Because think about it like this. If you look at the products of 6, right? There's only certain combinations, right? It's either 1, 6, -1, -6, 2, and 3, and -2 and -3. There are only 4 possibilities. Whereas if I ask you, hey, let's do the sum first, and you need to find 2 numbers that add up to -5, that's going to take forever. Because you can have -10 plus 5, right? You can have -15 plus 10. Like, it's endless, right? It's endless, the number of ways you can get -5. So that's that's a terrible way to use, right? To use that to find your 2 magic numbers, so to speak, right? So that's why we always work with the product first. Okay? So that's it, right? What are the factors of 6, right? Now, eventually you're going to be able to do this in your head. Okay, I'm just telling you now. But we have to get a -6, so it's, okay, -1, +6. Let's see, -6 times +1. And then we got -2 times 3 and -3 times 2. Right? Now, looking at these 4 combinations, right? Looking at these 4 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one of these combinations will give you a -1 as a sum? Yeah, this one, right? Only this one, because -3 plus 2, right, is -1, right? Which is this right here. So I'm going to write in x, right? -3, x minus 3, +2, x plus 2. And then you can check your answers that way. By the way, you can check your answers fairly quickly too, by the way. X times x is x squared. Let's see, -3 plus 2, that's -1. And then -3 times 2 is -6. Oh, it matches. Okay? All right? Now, if you feel like you're up for it already, try this third one here. All right? And I can even help you set up like this. All right? So, again, press pause. And while you're doing this, again, pick 2 numbers that multiply to -24, but when you add them, gives you 2. Okay? And if you want to, you can list them out like the way I had it here for now, okay? So think of it as like training wheels for your bike. If you want to do it in your head, you could do it in your head, because that's what, by the time I finished 9th grade, like that's what I did. Like everyone, picked the numbers in their head, and then they add the 2 numbers in their head. It's not the hardest thing, okay? So press pause right now if you're up for it, and then when you come back, we'll go over it, okay? So press pause right now. Okay, all right, so to accelerate this a little bit, so you actually have a lot of time to practice for the next 3 days, is for me to just go over this in my head, all right? And so, hold on, now, I'm gonna I'll try to talk a little more slowly, all right, to let you see my thinking process. So, okay, I got -24, so I can do 1, all right? All right, maybe I'll write it down, but I won't be very organized. So, okay, because all I need is the product here, because adding's easy, right? So I need the product. So I could do 1 times -24. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's 1 times -24 or -1 times 24, because if they add up, there will never be 2. So these are no good. All right, I'm going to pick another 2 numbers. I can take 2 and 12. Now, in my head, I'm doing 2 and 12, and there's no way any combination of 2 and 12 can get me 2. Right? So even if I do 2 times -12 or -2 times 12, just not going to happen. All right? So I know that, so listen carefully. So now I know that whatever 2 numbers I choose, those 2 numbers, if I were to add them, has to be very close to 2. That means these 2 numbers have to be just close enough. Now, think about it. What 2 numbers can you think of that fits this category, that where you multiply them, you get 24, but if you add or subtract them, you get 2? Yeah, 6 and 4, right? So let's write that out. So 6 times -4, right? Or -6 times 4. Now, which one is going to give us the results we want? Well, we can do this in our head, right? So 6 plus -4, that's +2, and -6 plus 4 is -2. Now, what do I need in the middle? I need +2, so that's this one. So it's 6 and -4. So +6 minus 4. Okay, and we can check. real quick, right? X squared, 6 minus 4 is 2. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. Nice. Okay? All right? Let's try one more. And then I'm gonna leave some questions up and see what we can do. All right, okay. Now, try this one then. All right, so press pause right now. Okay, here we go again. All right, let me erase this to make some room. So for this one, right, it's, again, I'll set up my 2 parentheses, x and x. All right, now, again, I'm going to talk through it, okay? So try to follow me. I need 2 numbers that multiply to give us negative 6, all right, but will add up to negative 5. Now, immediately, the most obvious choice is obviously 6 and 1, right? So now, here's the tough one with this question, because you can think of 2 numbers that can, so let me show you. You can think of 2 numbers that can at times that would multiply to negative 6, but the other 2 numbers is also equally capable of potentially giving you negative 5. Right? So we actually gotta have to roll our sleeves up and actually do some of this work here. So okay, negative 6 now. So that means the sum, right? Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. This is positive 5. This is negative 1. Because the reason why I said is this, right? Because 6 minus 1 could give us 5 in the middle, right? And so is 1 minus 6. But 3 plus 2 can also give us 5. So this is not as smooth a way to solve as the last one, okay? All right, so this is positive 1. So which one shows us negative 5 here in the middle? This one. So it's negative 6 and positive 1. All right, so that's, now let's check x squared, right? Minus 6 plus 1, that's negative 5. 6 times 1 is, negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. So don't forget, right? You got to take the signs with you when you turn this into consideration. All right, now, that said, let you practice for just a little bit. All right, hold on, let's see how we're doing here. All right, I'm almost getting there. All right, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this. I think that's the best way to go about it, because I still want you to get a little practice. So here's how I'm gonna do this. Do all three right now, and then at the end, I'll go over the first one and just give you the answers for the other 2, okay? So, all right, so press pause right now. Okay, all right, and we're back. So for this one, all right, I got p squared, right? Now, this one's actually really straightforward, because you just have to think of 2 numbers that multiply to 48, right? So when you add it, it'll give you 14. So let me think about it. Let's see if now, 1 and 48 is out of the question, because you'll never get 14 by adding and subtracting, right, with 1 and 48. So that's out of the question, okay? So now let's see then, what other possibilities are there? We can have, let's see, 6 times 8, right? Now we can have 12 and 4, but 12 and 4 is not going to really get you that close to 14 either. So you know what I'm saying? So 6 and 8. Now I can also have negative 6 times negative 8, right? But the thing is, all these are positive, so you're not going to have negative numbers that will combine to give you a positive number when you're adding, right? That's just never going to happen. So that leaves us with this. That's it, right? And then we can see p times p is p squared. 6 plus 8 is 14. 6 times 8 is 48. Okay? All right. For these 2, let me give you the answers. So let's see. For this one, all right, I'll just say it out loud. So let's see. I need to get 15, so I could do 1 and 15. That's not going to work. 3 and 5. Yeah, 3 and 5 can make 8, right? So what I'm going to do is this. I'm actually going to write 3 and 5 right here, because I pretty much know. I just need to know the sign right now. So you see how I wrote the 2 letters, the 2 numbers, and I left the sign open, right? So let's think about it. Positive 5. Now, this is positive 15, so there's only 2 ways I can go about it. I can have 3 times 5 straight up, and I can have negative 3 times negative 5, right? Hold on, the lights went off. So which one would add up to negative 8? Yeah, this one. So they're both negative. Okay, right? B squared minus 3 minus 5, that's minus 8, times negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. Okay? All right, one last one. All right, again, I really hope I did just a good enough job of explaining this to you guys. So here, m, right, again, all right, let's think out loud now. What are the factors of 63? 1 and 63, that's not going to go anywhere because we need 16 in the middle. So let's see, 9 and 7, right? That's the one I could think of. So I can have 9 and 7, or I can have negative 9 times negative 7. Right? So which ones will add up to a negative 16? This guy right here. These guys right here. All right, so mm is m squared. Negative 9 minus 7 is negative 16. Negative 9 times negative 7, positive 63. Okay, so even though in my own opinion, I think it took me a long time to explain it, but I think if you follow through with everything so far today, I think you guys are going to do okay with the math. Okay, so let me stop here. Let's practice tomorrow and the day after so that I get to like watch you guys work in class. All right, and just point out and give you guys some more pointers like that. So, okay, all right, that's it. I'm going to sign off now. Thanks for watching, and tomorrow's video, I'm probably going to post something from YouTube, all right, that I think might be helpful. Okay, all right, thanks for watching. Bye-bye. OMG, that was so good.